points on the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in November 29, 2021, and the stock market is going to go crazy tomorrow. Friday was absolutely insane, and I'm sure you are waiting over the weekend to kind of see what's going to happen, and based on the weekend, it is looking like a 50-50 for tomorrow. So we were reacting to the variant on Friday, but now over the weekend, a lot of news, good and bad. It literally has Wall Street 50-50, and what most people are coming to the conclusion of is that we are going to see some elevated volatility over the next 2 weeks. So we got a lot to talk about. I have a lot of different things to cover. We have two different set of plays. So if you were watching the shorts here over the weekend, we covered one set of the plays that we made on Friday, but depending on how things play out tomorrow, there is going to be a whole nother set of plays and different things we need to watch, as well as earnings and a lot of other events. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to go over everything that's happening this week. We are still going to be dealing with a lot more than just the virus. You're going to be hearing from Powell, so we got to cover that. The plays that we made on Friday, the plays that we got for tomorrow, and then everything else for the week. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description, and it's been in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free $99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/TheStockMarket. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch us come to life, and yes. If all of this just seems like an elaborate OPEC negotiation, then yeah, we're the place to be, and the most important thing you need to do, post your watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything. Post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. And my friend, please do not forget, today is Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday. That's usually how it works. And this is the random account generator. So we started this with $500 about a year and a half ago. And we want to see how random YouTube plays will perform. So on this watch list, post a random option trade, strike price, expiration date, all of that. Keep it below $100. We're going to do a random comment picker in the morning and then see what happens, and shout out if you've posted. But right off the bat, as far as tomorrow, we have an exciting week. So like I'm saying, it's gonna go beyond the virus. You got Powell and Yellen on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's gonna be the Senate committee or the Senate hearing as far as how they've handled the whole virus and all of that. This will be notable because it's the first time Powell is gonna be speaking since the reappointment. Other than that, it is pretty much stuff we've seen before, but there's always a chance of some headline risk out of Powell, but that's Tuesday and Wednesday. Then OPEC, you're going to get them on Thursday and Friday, and with how everything played out on Friday, we really got to talk about oil. I still think that is in play, but now, whatever happens with OPEC, you are definitely going to get some headlines this week, and then Friday, that is the jobs report, and it's actually expected to do good. It's kind of anticipated here, so with the tapering announcement and everything else, that is going to be the key to watch. Other than that, it is all about how we digest the variant and what we got on Friday, because now this is where it gets weird. Friday was a big reaction and a freak out. You had the weekend and digest it, and there was two pieces of good news that calmed things down. So as far as the variant is concerned, there was a couple different reports from the World Health Organization as well as the scientists who uncovered it. Even Fauci talked about it, but they're saying that the symptoms are mild, so that was a positive. And then even Moderna, the vaccine makers, they said that they could quickly reformulate the vaccines even if it's not effective. They said that by early 2022, they should be able to have something that should cover this new variant. So that was positive news, and that was the positive reaction that we got. But like I'm saying, it's 50-50, and it's definitely going to bring back some volatility because what you saw on Friday had a lot of big effects. So here's your first pretty picture. It's going to be oil, and you can see here now it's dropping below some key technical levels. This was actually on Friday the 7th largest drop in oil history. So it goes to show how threatening or any sort of lockdowns can affect the oil markets. But now this is one thing to watch. It's going to impact our dollar, but this is one level of big volatility that we saw, and this is what has people worried because it is reminiscent of what you saw in the early days of the March 2020 pandemic, and now that's what we also got here with bonds. Here's another pretty picture, and this is where you could kind of see how it's a little bit different, but what you got on Friday, this was the largest 10-year drop that we've seen since March 2020, so people are like, wow, that's a rush to safety. Maybe maybe it's playing out all over again, but pay attention of what led into March. You were already watching it decline. So if anything, us being here is more similar to here in my opinion, but the volatility that came out of Friday's reaction was absolutely unreal. It got a lot of things shooken up, and that's why, regardless of how it gets digested, there is going to be a lot of uncertainty, and that's what people are going to be digesting. So coming into the rest of the week, we have all of our events lined up. Again, Powell and OPEC will be key. You'll also be getting some PMI data from the United States and some real estate ones, but it seems like the jobs report and then OPEC and Powell is what people are going to be focusing on. But now, this week and next week is usually when the Santa Claus rally plays out. So we had our eye out on for this, and then this started to hit the market. So keep your eye out for it. But in general now, just brace for volatility, because if this is an overreaction, this will be the fuel that we could use to melt up. Otherwise, if it is not an overreaction and we get more extended volatility, this might create a 2018-esque Christmas with that repo crisis, or essentially where you just get volatility towards the end of the year. But at the very least, most people are expecting just more uncertainty and elevated volatility just in this next 2 weeks, given this situation isn't going to have just a one-day effect. So by the time we wake up tomorrow and we're waiting for all of the news, even by the end of the day, it's going to be half of how this developed, and then the other half, some of the earnings that we got, as well as OPEC, and then anything else. And then on that note too, you're going to be getting some earnings this week. It's some of the software companies. You're going to hear from CRM, Salesforce, Snowflake, Ason, and then Li Auto out of China. So we're fading out of earnings season, but some of that is still in play. You see the events this week. We are going to have a lot to look at, and it's going to be exciting. But coming into the company news and events, I don't have too much political stuff here, because if anything, it was us closing the borders to the South African, or stopping travel there. The United States announced that on Friday and followed along with the rest of those countries, and everything over the weekend was literally about the virus, about the mutation, how the market's taking it. I believe even Goldman said it's an overreaction, but then you heard from a lot of different scientists and figures and all of that. So that's what it was really about. But we did get some other metrics and a lot of individual company news. But the first one, Black Friday online spending totaled $8.9 billion, and unfortunately this was on the low side of expectations. So it was slightly less than what we got last year. It is based off the Adobe digital estimates, but a lot of eyes are going to be on the retail stocks tomorrow. You still got Cyber Monday, so we'll see how some things play out. But given how the news correlated, this could be a big key, and we're going to want to watch retail. Then on the same lines of retail, Best Buy, they got robbed by a group of 20 people in Minneapolis this week, and this is literally the first weekend after their earnings report, and they announced that theft was hurting their margins. But then you also saw a lot of things happen all over the country, and even the California police said this will be more of a common occurrence, these kind of flash mob robbings. And even this weekend in Los Angeles, people were getting robbed at literal restaurants while they were eating, and somebody even got murdered. So a lot of this towards the holiday season, we're going to see how this heats up, and if it does affect retail tomorrow, I would definitely keep an eye on that. And then Biden did make a statement on Twitter saying that Americans will see the prices at the pump fall before long. So that was kind of interesting. Oil is going to be in focus. We'll see how things play out after OPEC. And then IBM, they got a positive mention in Barron's, and this is going to be an interesting one to see tomorrow. But the mention was saying how they're restructuring of their cloud and how they're focusing on AI now. They're pretty much calling them a Microsoft Junior. So probably some of the best news I've seen on this stock in a while. I'm going to keep my eye out for them. And then Intel, they are set to announce, I believe this week, details on a major investment in the EU to double chip production by 2030. So this is good news. I forgot where it came from, but it's not fully in the books just yet, but it's set to be announced. So keep your eye out for that. And then this one's kind of funny. Peloton sued Lululemon in a preemptive move to protect their new athletic wear from a trademark suit, but Lululemon was a co-branded partner of one of those. So essentially Peloton did a line with Lululemon, and then they said, we're going to make our own clothes, and then we're going to sue you before you get the chance to sue us, because we're probably doing the same thing. Okay, yeah, so it's wild. But then Tesla, for the final piece of news, they said they would forego a $1.3 billion aid package from the EU or Germany in their factory that they're making in Germany to produce a new type of battery in Texas first. So essentially, Elon is opting to make a development in the United States before accepting money to start it in Germany. So that one was pretty cool. But overall, very simple news cycle over the weekend. A lot is going to be about the virus. I would not be surprised to see a lot of individual news this week. So we're going to keep our eye out for it and get ready. But I hope you're ready for some volatility. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off that bat, math, I got 3 different stocks that I'm looking at coming into tomorrow, and these are 1 that I made, 2 that I haven't, and if you watch that short over the weekend, I'm going to go over some of those plays. Those are the plays that I really like to buy the news off of the variance. Not that you always have to short anything, but sometimes there's going to be clear winners, and now I think it's creating something interesting and that we're going to see for the first time. But those are the first set of plays, and now leading into the first one, Roblox, I'm highlighting this as the ultimate winner because I think it has a lot of good things going on for them. But like I'm saying, watching this news development, if it creates a different market environment, what we're going to see here is going to be relatively new. I mean, how does the market handle this in between about 24 months after the first ever virus scare? So this is where I think Roblox is in a very interesting position. This is probably going to be my favorite play this week, even despite the premium on the contracts. That is the total big negative to all of that because Roblox has shot up a lot. So that is what will make this play risky. But for the most part, I just really think it's going to be a good one to watch because I'm thinking they're the unicorn. Essentially, they won during COVID and they won after COVID. This is what's made them very rare. But now we haven't seen how these companies have played out. Essentially, how do they handle the second or third wave, or if there is a threat of lockdown, are they still going to be a winner? How are investors going to interpret this? I got my money on Roblox, so that is one that I am really going to be watching. Now, as far as the play, I'm probably going to play it a couple times, but I started with weeklies in the morning there, and I grabbed 10 of the 190 calls for 60 cents, about $600. These dropped, I believe, about 30 or 40% already, but then when those dropped later in the day, I used that opportunity to get ones with more time. I grabbed 2 of the 175 calls for January for $370, so about another $600 or $700. I'm going to be watching this chain all week. Again, if they hold the news and they respond how I expect them to, I just think it's going to be fire, and then we'll see how the premiums play from there. But those are the first set of plays. Watch out for them. And then the second one, it's going to be Home Depot. And now this is going down to the put side because I do not know how tomorrow is going to play out. We still may get some volatility. I want to see who the winners and losers are. And even if there are stocks that you could buy and go long on, even if there is winners, the ultimate risk is that there is a broader sell-off and everything just goes red. So with that in mind, I am eyeing some plays for the downside. And one I like, the premiums are kind of high, but Home Depot, I like how they move. If you've ever watched me play in volatility, we've gone after Home Depot a couple of times. And why I like them right here is because they've pretty much just had a crazy run up there for earnings. So if there's more market pressure, they should be able to come down. And sometimes there is some pretty cheap options. But if there is more downside volatility, I'm going to be watching Home Depot to see how those play out. And then finally, CRM. This one, I'm just trying to sneak it in here because if we are still in a 50-50 where it's like, okay, it's an overreaction, maybe it's not, you're going to get some volatility. I just like the catalyst with this play, and it's going to be CRM. They have earnings this week, so we could play the pre-earnings run-up. We may even be able to play after, but essentially, depending on how tomorrow plays out, this one might be overlooked, but there still could be a play, so we'll see what our focus is tomorrow. If I forget about this myself, remind me of it, but I am definitely going to be keeping watch on these. So those are the first set of plays, and then I also made a lot on Friday, and this is what I covered there over the weekend on that short, but the other categories to go for are the COVID winners. There's going to be a lot of eyes on the vaccine makers. I did buy 2 of the December 360 Novaxes for $4, and that play barely went up a little bit. Again, there was a lot of premium on Friday, so depending on how things play out tomorrow, I think this is going to be key, but I will also be watching Pfizer, Merck, Moderna, BioNTech. Those are all key. Even Merck, they even had a positive news over the weekend. Remember, we averaged down on it, but then they got killed on the efficacy numbers. Even though everybody shot up on Friday for Merck, this had to do with the efficacy numbers, but there was a report this weekend that they should still get the approval, so they're one to watch as well as Pfizer, but the premiums are super jacked. That's why, depending on how tomorrow plays up, if we want to make a swing, premiums do cool down. That might be an entry point, so I'm going to be looking after that, so watch out for Novax and any of the vaccine makers. And then Doordash, I actually really like this play because they're coming off their earnings as well, but this is just stay-at-home trade. The worry was that the return to normal will kill them, so this news should help them out there. I grabbed the January 270 calls. I spent about $400 or $500 there, $155 a pop, but this thing can move a lot, and the premiums usually go crazy, so that's why I think it's going to be an exciting one to watch. And then on Friday, we also took some profits. If you remember that Spotify play, we got that news play on it, and then we ended up being clapped. I was down 40%, but Spotify, this is a name to still watch. I still have the shares, but they are one of those pandemic stay-at-home winners. They shot up on Friday because of the news. We were able to get out with like a 20 or 30% gain, but closed out of those. And then the Walmarts, we had 30% on them. Walmart Walmart did the best out of all of the other retailers, and I still have the Kohl's play too. And we also have a December, so I sold out of these for 30%. But with the Black Friday news yesterday, just watch out for them. And then the Merck and the Googles, those were the other plays. The Merck's only dropped 20%. I think this one might get juiced up tomorrow after that news, but the Googles still held break even. And then now for the kicker, this is the final play I'm going to be watching. Don't forget about it, but literally XOM and oil. Remember, we've been going big on this. The USOs, they got clapped a little bit, and that kind of makes sense given they're the ETF and they moved a little bit more with the price of oil, but we're only down 18% after the 7th largest single day drop in oil history. And that's what I'm saying here with XOM. We were buying these calls when oil was at $80. Notice the premiums are still positive even after oil hit $65. So this play is still in there, even though you got a lot of volatility. The options market is saying that it is not done yet. They're still betting on oil, and depending on what we get with OPEC this week, these oil plays might go crazy. So like I was saying, keep those eyes peeled for that opportunity to trade them. But those are going to be the main plays. As far as everything else, we said watch Roblox. I will be keeping an eye on Walmart and the retailers. I still think they can move a lot. I did like the Walmart, but now we'll see how they play out with this external event. I still got the First Solar. They're energy related. I mean, they've held up a little bit better there, so keep a side eye on them. I mean, I'm not too confident in that play. It went down a little bit. I didn't go too big, but I will be keeping a small watch. And then BioNTech and NVAX, I like both of those, as well as Myrna. The Myrna premiums are already up a lot. And then Pfizer and Merck, like I said, I'm really, really liking those. I want to see if I could get a Pfizer play. I've only went in on Merck, but Pfizer was the one that just kept running and the premiums were high, so that's what made it more difficult. But then Coinbase, this one's kind of a little bit from left field. I feel like they would benefit during any sort of stay-at-home news in general, but they have been slipping out, and this is a key level, so depending on where they play from here, it's either going to be a very nice bounce, or if it does break down, I mean, that could be a red alert, and we're going to see how that one plays out. But watch them. Then CRM, liking them pre-earnings, as well as Asana. They have pre-earnings. They've already dropped $40 already, so if you know anything about the criteria, that's kind of already pricing in a lot, so I want to see the option chain and what it's saying, but that could be a good one. Then watch out for the banks. They had a lot of flip-flop with the Powell and Brainerd news and all of that and what we saw on Friday, so there's going to be a lot of volatility, but those things might be able to move big, and watch them. And then Longeveron, baby, we are still in this play, but I did make some actions on it on Friday. I decided to trim a little bit more of the free shares that we have, and the real reason was the market, and I wanted to make sure I had cash regardless of anything that happened there. So even though biotechs are usually the safe haven and are usually more advantageous at this point, especially when we're talking about people worried about the virus, I wanted to free up some cash and make sure we kept the account up. So what I decided to do was sell 700 of the 1,200 shares that I had left, and I got out at $37.63. So I think we got like $26,000 or so. We bought those 1,000 shares for $900, and then the other 200 shares for $1,500, but got to take like another $18K in profit or so, and then I still got $15,000 left. So now we've got to realize over $35,000 between accounts. That's pure profit. We get to hold this and then let it do its thing. But I would have held this if the market didn't go crazy. I just wanted to protect myself and made sure I had cash, but keep your eye out for them. And then finally, TLT and the dollar. I mean, the dollar might be a little bit safe here, and even over the weekend, a lot of the emerging market currencies chilled out. That's something you saw on Friday. The Swiss franc, the Japanese yen, a lot of safe haven rush was there on Friday. There was a lot of volatility, but with oil moving a lot, that should tame the dollar. But the real key here is going to be bonds. If we rocket past here, then it might start to look like fear. Like I showed you guys on the first pretty picture there, that's going to be the key to watch. Does this kind of turn into this right here? I'm not worried about this size being similar if we're still up here. It's about, okay, wait a minute. Do you start to get a total tsunami of the rates and it just starts to plummet lower and lower? That's pretty much what's going to happen if we break out through here. So a lot of volatility. We've been bouncing back and forth. What we get by the next 2 weeks, I mean, we're going to see what happens, but it could get really crazy. So I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shine. I need you to not be shy. Speaking into existence, baby. But the code loves you. I love you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.